In a moment that's sending shockwaves to the global auto industry, Africa has just unveiled a breakthrough so radical, it's forcing the world's biggest car makers to rethink everything they know. A self-powered chassis, built from scratch on African soil, is challenging the very foundations of vehicle design, and no one saw it coming. While the world's eyes were fixed on Silicon Valley and Shanghai, a team of African engineers quietly worked on a concept that defies traditional car architecture: a self-powered chassis, a rolling frame that generates its own energy, independent of external fuel sources or charging stations. At a recent tech expo in Nairobi, this chassis rolled across the stage, no engine, no battery pack as we know it, yet fully operational. The crowd? Speechless. The system integrates kinetic energy recovery, solar reactive materials, and a proprietary nanocapacitor grid that stores and redistributes energy across the vehicle frame. In essence, the chassis itself is the battery and the motor. It eliminates the need for bulky engines or EV battery packs, making the car lighter, smarter, and far more efficient. This isn't the work of a tech giant. It's a product of Maxwell Dynamics Africa, a startup founded by young innovators from Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. Their mission? To redefine sustainable transportation from the global south for the entire planet. They're now in talks with manufacturers across Europe and Asia, and even Tesla engineers have taken notice. This breakthrough threatens to upend decades of engineering norms. Without the need for lithium, rare earths, or massive charging infrastructure, the barriers to entry just collapsed. Developing nations can leapfrog traditional auto tech, and that's exactly what Africa's doing. What happens when cars no longer need gas, or even grid power? Entire supply chains get rewritten. Traditional automakers? On notice. This isn't just a win for Africa. It's a moment that reshapes the global tech narrative. From renewable energy to smart mobility, Africa is no longer just participating, it's leading. And with self-powered chassis tech moving to the next stage of development, the future of clean, decentralized transportation might just be born where few expected it, but where it was always meant to thrive. This innovation isn't just a flash in the pan. It's the tip of a larger movement, a wave of Afro-tech ingenuity rising from communities with limited resources but limitless imagination. What happens when these creators get global backing, exposure, and investment? The answer? A mobility revolution born in Africa, made for the world. Since the reveal, the international response has been electric. Social media exploded, with hashtags like #AfricanChassisRevolution and #SelfPoweredAfrica trending within hours. Industry experts from Germany to Japan are already speculating how long it will take before this technology hits global production lines. But Maxwell Dynamics Africa isn't rushing into licensing deals, not yet. They're prioritizing regional partnerships, aiming to empower local production networks and build an entirely African-driven supply chain. And the next big announcement? A working prototype car, using the same chassis, is set to be unveiled later this year. What would a fully self-powered African SUV look like? Or a low-cost electric minibus that never needs charging? Maxwell's next move could flip the EV market upside down again. Stay tuned, because this is only the beginning. But here's where it gets even more exciting. This self-powered chassis isn't just a breakthrough for transportation. It's an energy platform. Imagine mobile clinics powered by their own chassis, agricultural machines that recharge themselves in the field, or pop-up disaster response units that don't need fuel, cables, or generators. What Maxwell Dynamics has built could become the foundation of decentralized power across Africa and beyond. One chassis, endless possibilities. Just like Asia's rise began with local manufacturing revolutions, Africa could now be on the cusp of its own industrial awakening. But this time, it's driven by green tech, low-cost innovation, and local genius. The self-powered chassis may soon serve as a core framework for a generation of smart vehicles, all designed, built, and optimized for African environments. From rough terrains to off-grid cities, it's innovation tailor-made for real-world challenges. Some Western manufacturers have responded with disbelief. Others, quietly, are scrambling to understand how such a leap happened outside their billion-dollar R&D labs. Meanwhile, Governments across Africa are beginning to invest in regional R&D centers, partnerships, and policy shifts to support this innovation wave. It's no longer about catching up. It's about taking the lead. This could be the moment where Africa moves from consumer to creator in the global tech economy. And this is just the first domino. The ripple effects from education to exports are already forming. Young minds across the continent now have a new blueprint to aspire to, not from Detroit, not from Tokyo, but from right here from home. Because when you prove impossible is possible in your own backyard, the rest of the world can't help but pay attention. Across campuses and community labs in Lagos, Kigali, Addis Ababa, and beyond, something extraordinary is happening. Students are no longer just learning theory, they're building, they're reimagining, they're asking, if Maxwell Dynamics can create a self-powered chassis, what can we do next? Mentorship programs, open-source blueprints, and Pan-African competitions are springing up, all inspired by one bold move. What was once a quiet tech scene is now roaring with momentum. Africa's innovation age isn't coming. It's already here. The West and East have long dominated the narrative of technological supremacy. But now, the global conversation is shifting. No longer is Africa just a market. It's a maker, a source of breakthroughs that matter globally. And as leaders from Europe, Asia, and the Americas request briefings and demonstrations, it's clear Africa's tech isn't a novelty. It's a necessity. What if Africa leapfrogs again, past EVs, past combustion, even past centralized infrastructure? Imagine cities where every car powers the grid, highways that recharge themselves, rural schools with energy delivered by roving chassis-based microgrids. This isn't science fiction. It's a vision being built now. With the right support, the self-powered chassis could spark a continental renaissance in technology and shape how humanity moves, lives, and connects. Maxwell Dynamics isn't slowing down. Inside closed testing grounds, their engineers are now pairing the chassis with next-gen AI navigation, adaptive body shells, and multi-terrain wheels designed for Africa's unique environments. And sources close to the company suggest an autonomous, self-powered electric SUV will be their next public prototype, slated to be revealed in the coming months. In a world racing toward electric futures, flying taxis and AI-driven dreams, one innovation, born from resourcefulness, vision, and purpose, is quietly rewriting the rules. Africa's self-powered chassis is more than just a technological leap. It's a statement, a declaration that brilliance doesn't need billion-dollar budgets, just bold ideas and fearless minds. Maxwell Dynamics has shown us what happens when a continent takes its destiny into its own hands. So as legacy automakers scramble, as tech giants pivot, and as the world begins to watch with widened eyes, one truth rings louder than ever. The future isn't just arriving, it's being engineered in Africa, because history remembers those who dare to create it.